Hi, this is Keith. I'm in the process of updating one of my automated strategies to use a different indicator. And in doing that, I'm going to be doing sort of a little bit of a backtesting project here. And I just thought that I would share a little bit about my perspectives on backtesting, sort of how and when I use backtesting. And my approach, I think, is quite... it's pretty detailed and involved. I mean, I go to pretty low level, version of backtesting, and so I'll share some perspectives on that just briefly. And more to come on this one. It's just like I said, I'm just kind of starting that process now. I don't have the data yet to be able to do the backtest, but just basically what I've been doing is actually sort of catching up on a prior backtest that I've run. And the strategy involved here is the one-way ticket. This is a bot that I've shared in the Option Alpha community. So there's, if you could find that community template, there is sort of my history of sort of explains what this strategy is, and follow my results as well, my live results. Which you can see here have not been great for this particular instance of it. I'm running this strategy with a couple of different indicators. One limitation that I had at the time, this was sort of back in November when I went live with this particular automated strategy, was that the indicator I wanted to use with it just wasn't possible because the platform, the limitations that existed at the time meant that I just didn't have access to the data that was required, or the frequency of indicators just weren't available to me. So this version of this bot has a sort of automated indicator built within it, using kind of some of the limitations within the tool at the time. And you can see it's performed really not great at all. But I do have some knowledge of kind of predicted that this could happen based on the backtest. And you can see here how the heck could you have held it through this period where we were up almost $2,000. This is a $10,000 allocation for it to drop from $12,000 and just see almost half of that $12,000 just evaporate. How could you let that bot just continue? And it's through the fact that I've done that backtest, and I had some expectation that it could happen and some expectation that it might recover, right? No guarantee that it would recover, but I just thought, this is an experiment. Let's prove it out. Let's prove the backtest, right? Let's do a live test to just kind of prove whether our backtest is accurate or not. And it's kind of an interesting case study here as well, is because I've got the backtest results, now I've got live tests. Now I've also actually rerun the backtest, right? So I've actually caught up the backtest, and we can actually look at those that output here that I've just rerun. I'm just going to find that data set. So again, you can see for this particular strategy, I've run multiple backtests as I was developing it. And I've just recently run, again, sort of a time period, sort of end of November up to the current day, just to kind of catch up. And we can see what our result is here. And it looks, again, quite similar, right? Saying kind of a like for like. Some differences in position size. This is consistently one contract, through the entire back test. In my live account, I did change. I started with 2 contracts. And then I actually doubled my allocation and doubled my contract size. And that wasn't just me being greedy and wanting to kind of take more profits here. It was really just to sort of offset some of the costs. This strategy involves exercise and assignment fees. This particular strategy is running on TradeStation, which has the most expensive of those fees of all of my accounts that I have. So it's sort of unfortunate that I started this one there. It was intended to be sort of my small position size. I doubled it, and obviously that contributed to my drawdown because, as I was winning in the beginning here, I was winning with a smaller position size, and again, so it didn't allow the account to grow enough to be able to kind of withstand some of that drawdown. So, but a very much similar result. I mean, I think I changed that position size right in the beginning of January. So again, I hadn't really gone very far with that small account size. So not a significant difference. So again, it looks mostly the same. Again, win rate here is 60%. Kind of same thing we're seeing here, 59.7. And the benefit of this back test, it sort of gives me some information, like look at the consecutive losses, 4 losses in a row. Obviously that's probably somewhere in this period where we had that huge drawdown, but that wasn't unusual, right? If we add in here now, we go back and actually add my prior kind of data sets that I ran previously. Again, prior to going live, I ran sort of the kind of back test through year to date 2023. So now this has, again, my current experience, again, the back test run all the way up to current day, but then I've added in, what I had run previously for that 2023 period, and you could see it had just a lot of success in 2023. It ended that, what is it, from kind of August onwards, it had some volatility and a big drawdown, probably just before I went live, kind of end of October. So I had kind of seen that it was, it had experienced some drawdowns, and this was probably a little bit unusual, this large run up. But I also had backtested farther than that, right? So I had also had a data set. Usually when I'm backtesting, I'll run the most recent data first, right? So you work out any different sort of changes to your strategy. So if your entrance criteria is changing, or any of your rules around exits or anything, if you want to fine tune all of that, do it with a very small data set, do it with sort of more recent data. And then once you've sort of finalized your strategy, then you want to go back and run over a longer period of time. And that's going to come with some challenges, right? Because going back, getting that data, you might have less granular data available to you, again, for the indicators that you're using. I think that's going to be a challenge going forward, because I want to use sort of more frequent time periods on those indicators, and so how far I can go back will be a challenge. In this case, there's some just differences in the product. This is trading XSP, which if we just look at it now, we can see that here's the run up in 2023, again, very steep run, and just the length of it, the duration. We had similar run ups here. 2020 was a big a big positive year. But it didn't trade as frequently, and that's just, again, the nature of this XSP product was we didn't have expirations every day of the week, right? We now have those from about mid-2022 on. We have an opportunity to trade this strategy every day of the week, whereas this strategy is going to be trading less frequently in these sort of, prior period that I'm testing. So that's probably one of the mistakes that I made. I might have ignored some of these long. Again, we had the entire year of 2019 was just a major drawdown. And same thing in 2021 was pretty much that. That entire year was drawdown. So I knew that was a possibility. That's kind of allowed me to just hold it through. I thought, well, over time, over the long haul, many years, it should be profitable. And I used that information to kind of hold through that really difficult period. Not saying that's the right decision, maybe I should have got out quickly and just accepted my losses. Whether I stop now and maybe go with a new indicator or not, is to be determined. But for now, the bot's still running. I haven't stopped it yet. We can also see, so I can see the long periods of drawdown. I can see the large number of consecutive losses. Again, 11 consecutive winners, so again, long win streak and a very long losing streak. So that was known to me when I went live with this strategy. So I knew that was a possibility, and that led to me setting my position size, right? So I am using a $10,000 allocation. My actual position size here is around $800, so definitely no more than $1,000. So 8 to 10% of my allocation is the size of my positions. So I don't need that amount to run it, right? I'm really only making one trade per day, and never more than $1,000. So you could run this in an account with $1,000, but obviously you're going to blow up at your first loss, right? And again, anyone running this strategy with, let's say, 20% of their allocation as a position size, what we saw from that back test, right? Five losers in a row, you're going to blow up your account, right? If you've got a position size of 20%. So that's important information to know when you're setting your position size, your allocation. It tells you a lot about the amount of risk that this strategy involves. And again, doesn't mean that it's a bad strategy. It just means that it needs careful position sizing, right? And I think it's probably a good case study here of being able to withstand a huge drawdown, being able to recover from a almost 50% drawdown, just with the kind of appropriate position sizing. Am I proud of this result? No, definitely not. It's quite embarrassing. Am I surprised? Am I angry? Am I upset? No, not at all. I'm totally it's all part of the game and all part of the learning process. In terms of the new indicator that I'm building, quite excited about it. So this is going to be using webhooks, and this is sort of one kind of initial version that I'm testing out here. So for backtesting, I've got a 15-minute time period. I think this is going to allow me with this sort of data set to go back at least the current year. So probably at least get the last sort of 7 months or so of data back, maybe starting January, February time period. That's going to be the challenge here, right? More frequent data. This is using ES futures, so this is the S&P 500 E-mini contract that trades 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So again, that also means more data, right? Because it's processing more number of bars. So I'm limited in my TradingView account, how many bars I can go back to be able to kind of export data, and that's my approach, right? So I'm using OptionNet Explorer is the execution platform for backtest. It allows me, it has all the options data to be able to enter trades and to set them up, as per my trade entry rules. And for the indicators, the actual decision to make a trade, what day and what time of day will I enter that trade, that data is coming from TradingView. So it's, again, Excel is kind of the middleman in that backtest to be able to, again, export this data. In this case, I'm using multiple indicators, so the bot is going to have a couple of sort of information signals sent to it. So one will be just a directional view of the S&P 500. Again, this is coming 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. Will be notified of any change in direction of the S&P 500, again based on these ES futures contracts. So you can see here, these blue bubbles are just basically the webhooks that are going to inform the bot that the direction has changed. And in addition to that, I've also got a sort of trading signal, right? So the trading signal of a buy signal here or a sell signal for a bearish trade will be coming using Option Alpha. Matt has created this really fantastic opening range indicator, and I use that as just to kind of get myself familiar with how webhooks work and use his example. And I like the indicator so much that I've decided to use it, and so far I've seen a pretty decent win rate here. So this might be exactly what I need, and I'll be using that probably some combination of the two, right? So the brown indicators are the buy or sell signal coming based on this sort of breakout coming out of the opening range. The opening range here I've defined between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. So that's why I'm using the ES futures. I've got that sort of pre-market activity as part of that range. Again, it's just a sort of a interesting way, sort of something that I think a lot of traders trade that way. They pay attention pre-market to what the futures are doing before the market opens, and then sort of evaluating the reaction that the market has when it opens, and combining that with some sort of signal here. In addition, just making sure the overall trend, again, right now these are plotted on the same chart with the same frequency. They may not be using the same frequency once I confirm how I actually want to use these signals. But the idea here is to create multiple indicators, send that to your bot. The bot can have the logic to determine which indicators it's going to use to make a decision. And again, it may not be just one signal. It may be sort of a combination of signals that need to be true before it makes a trade. So more to come on that. And again, I'll be doing a back test very similar to this one. I have the baseline here. It gives you kind of a level of experience, and I don't mean experience in terms of your knowledge and your list of things on your resume, right? This is data. It's giving you access to information, that I think is really important in improving your actual trading, right? So in this case, with this particular strategy that trades XSP, I'd never traded that product. I had a lot of experience with the SPX index options, but XSP wasn't. So I learned a lot about the behavior of that product, how it differs from SPX. And I learned a lot about its liquidity, and I learned to adjust my strategy to make sure that it worked well with this product before I ever actually entered a live trade with this product. So again, another example of how backtesting can really, really provide information. Again, I use it not just to assess profitability. What's my win rate? What's my P&L going to be? I use it also to assess feasibility. Is this a feasible strategy? Am I entering trades when there's, a liquid market for the product that I'm trading? Am I, are my profit targets set appropriately, or whatever decision logic the strategy has built into it? Is there a reason for that, and is it a valid reason? And I have verified that those parameters and those rules will work consistently over a longer period of time, right? Not just current day. So more to come on that, and maybe actually to kind of give an example of that. So when we're looking at our strategy here, right? So there's two ways I can sort of evaluate whether this particular change to use this indicator is going to be profitable or not. I can just look at the price information, right? Because I'm trading the S&P 500. This isn't the XSP. This is actually the futures, that's charted here. But I mean, I can just still glean from this price chart. If we buy here, again, this indicator is telling me to buy here, and the end of day is here where we close. Yeah, we moved up, so I can count that as a win, right? I can count this as a loss because we entered somewhere here and we closed down here. So that would have been a losing trade, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade. A no trade taken here, that was the correct decision. No trade taken here, that was correct decision. Yeah, here, these 2 days. Bullish trade here, that was the correct decision, winner. No trade made, so that was a correct decision. So I can just tell that, hey, this is a good indicator. I don't even need to apply my actual options trades to this, right? I don't need to evaluate my actual trade setup. Is it going to behave well with this particular indicator, right? This gives me kind of a first level, I guess you could say, of just and I've just kind of eyeballed this. I've taken a bunch of data extracts from this. I haven't analyzed them yet, so I'm just starting that. So I've got data extracts over different time periods that I'm going to be analyzing, and I'm going to use that to kind of estimate a win rate. Again, using price, maybe not using ES futures, maybe actually use the sort of entry and closing prices for XSP. And that will give me a certain level of comfort as to whether this is a good strategy or not. Okay, but that's still not enough, right? I need to go another level. I need to actually go to this tool, which is going to then, show me the result of my actual trade setup, right? For the times that indicator is triggering a signal to enter a trade, is there liquidity at that period of time for me to actually make a trade? Is my risk reward at that time when I put in that trade, is it going to be with my trade setup? Is it going to be acceptable? All those things. So these results take into account all of that, right? It's taking into account not just we've decided to enter a trade and it was a correct decision because the market went up. It's also was our trade setup a valid one from a feasibility standpoint? We could actually get into that trade. So I've just gone to a specific kind of time period, I guess, in the back test here, and this is a position from a year ago, right? So this is July 2023, and we can use this kind of information as well, even if we're trading live, right? To be able to, maybe we've got a certain experience, maybe we want to look at sort of bid-ask spread, and how has that changed from a year ago? So we can compare today to what we're currently experiencing, and what did the backtest see, a year ago? And that's something that I have noticed. Definitely liquidity is improving in XSP. I could see what my risk reward is. This is something that I thought I've noticed some of the recent trades are getting, this is probably right at the really minimum, for risk reward that this strategy would accept. And I thought that was sort of a new trend just recently in low implied volatility. But just going back a year to July, I can visualize what did my trades look like a year ago, right? And what was different then versus now. So really, really helpful. Again, it's helpful not just in building a new strategy, but even just evaluating. Something odd is happening in your current environment, and you want to just go back and replay it from a different period of time. You can do that. So very useful. Do I need to see all this level of data, options chain, and be able to replay the trade kind of throughout the day? So we started at, I think, 9:30 is when we entered that trade, and we can just kind of keep moving up and see how price is moving. Again, very powerful tool. Do you need it? Probably not. For me, I think it's helpful. We saw how it can kind of inform my decisions around managing these strategies, right? The more experience you have with them back in time, then obviously you're going to make more informed decisions about, like that scenario of, I had a big drawdown. Do I continue to just ride it out? I think in that example, I made an informed decision. Very useful tool here. Okay, so my ultimate end goal is to get to this level of detail, right? To basically have a backtest that accurately reflects all of the rules that the strategy is performing, and use that to verify and validate and make sure that it is, again, working as designed. And that's the end goal, right? So that's kind of, I've shown maybe the simplistic starting view, right? Which is just kind of, looking at that price chart and okay, I've got some indicators plotted on it, and okay, pick which ones sort of look like they're working well. The next level might be I'll run probably maybe forward testing, right? So basically, much easier than back testing is the ability to just code it into a bot. I've already got the bot. I've already got the the webhook logic. Switching out different indicators with webhooks is really, really easy. So I envision that I'll have probably 5 different bots running with different indicators to get comparative results, see which one looks like it performs well, and then a couple, or maybe 2 of those candidates will then be back tested. Right, the back testing is the most time-consuming, most manual effort. It kind of comes at the end, right? It's sort of it evolves over time and gets more and more detailed as you narrow it down to your final kind of confirmed strategy, and then that's where you go and you run against multiple years of data, and then you come to a result where you have that level of confidence that it's not just the confidence to run it live, but it's the confidence, like I said, to make sound decisions when it's unexpected things happen. You have a big drawdown, and you can kind of know when that's a surprise and that's an incorrect behavior, that's an unexpected behavior. Oops, stop everything, don't continue because this is not what we've seen before. Or no, this is just part of that actually it looks like a big drawdown, but in the big picture and over the long haul, it's not really going to be a significant drawdown. So more to come. Stay tuned. I will probably in the one-way ticket bot thread, I'll share kind of regular updates there in terms of how it's going with the testing and the development of the new indicators. And happy to take any questions or any input ideas. If you've got a good indicator that you think will predict the direction of the S&P 500 on a daily basis, let me know. I'm looking for one, and I'm open to any and all ideas.